Recording is on.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
It's 2 o'clock, 3
Okay.
o'clock, noon.
All right. We'll do this even if nobody shows up. At least we'll have the video.
Yeah, I have to listen to stuff after the fact. It's too hard for me to concentrate and keep an eye on the schedule at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I am concerned that this Gloria woman tried to get on and she got knocked off.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if it's possible that this has gotten hacked or somehow, just to kind of eliminate our outreach. It's possible. I mean, I don't know enough about this to know what they can do and what they can't do. Because this has been basically public, right?
yeah, I mean,
I thought people
if
could
you have
register.
did you have an email on the reminder that you sent out?
It's at the bottom, it had your email.
Well, I don't have any emails. I have before in the past.
Let me call Rick and see if there's a problem with him getting on. He said he was going to join.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here comes Conrad.
Okay. Okay, there's one.
Hello.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you
Yep.
fine. And where do you hail from, Conrad?
I'm actually in Vancouver, BC in Canada.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, sorry, my camera's pretty weird. It would make awful bright and then dark and then bright and then dark things at everyone, so it's better to leave it off.
Can you see us?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
can see. You can see
As long
fine
as
so
you,
far.
yeah, because
Can't
it's
see
not.
everyone.
It's going to be a lot of visual on this webinar, so if you can't.
Nice. Okay.
And Stephanie is with us.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Conrad, were you involved with the Canadian counter recruitment movement by any chance?
Not exactly. Do you know Kip Goodwin by chance? He's
name
with
is
808
familiar.
Truth to Youth.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working with him actually, so kind of focused on
okay.
Hawaii. But I am American and I actually used to live in Hawaii. But so I have met Kip in person and spent some time with him, but I do live in Canada now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a discussion with Kip not too long ago. I called him and we talked.
Oh, nice.
I was curious what was going on in Hawaii, what sort of the challenges they were facing there, and he was very concerned about exacerbation of military programs in Hawaiian schools.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bases on Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It's
a
plenty of
base.
advertising for it too.
Okay. We'll probably wait just a few more minutes. We can talk a little bit. We don't know how, we got 25 people registered. We don't know how many people are going to show up,
22.
but we are recording 22, I'm sorry. So,
Great.
this will be recorded. It's being recorded right now.
Okay,
Also, I mean, my connection here, hi,
Good,
Rick.
Rick.
We've got sort of iffy internet here at the Peace Campus. So we could possibly lose my streaming. Just to be aware, we'll have to reconnect if that's the case.
Okay, thanks for the heads up.
Let's wait a couple
Let's
more
see.
minutes. There's only
Yeah.
5 of us and 20. Oh, here's Jesus.
Okay,
And 21 or 22 registered.
okay.
Hello, Jesus.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
All right. You have a small apartment or you just like to read?
I'm not to read.
Both.
That's what two is.
She's in New York. Every apartment is small, right?
No, he's in Chicago.
Jesus, you're in New York?
No, I'm in
Oh,
Chicago.
I thought he was talking to you.
Oh,
Jesus just reads a
No, no,
lot.
no.
yeah.
I thought it was sort of a dating ploy to get girls to like you.
Okay, Gary.
Did it work?
It should work. You should work with the kind of girls that read. That's good.
Okay.
Wrong gender.
Well,
Okay.
should we start?
We are recording. Hi, Paula. Nice to see you.
Hi out there.
I guess if more people show, I'm going to go ahead and start because it's already 5 after or 6 after now.
All right.
I have to leave at 3:45.
Okay, well,
Yeah, well, let's go.
you might miss the fun part, but we'll see. So
Okay,
welcome everybody. My name is Libby Frank. So on behalf of NOMI, I want to welcome you to this webinar. This is the 4th in a series of workshops that NOMI has hosted in an effort to address the challenges and opportunities of trying to do counter recruitment during a pandemic. The last workshop and this workshop are focusing on social media. During this workshop, we will actually be sharing a social media campaign. So the agenda, and I will post it in the chat after we get started. We're going to have a presentation on Canva. Canva is a free graphic design platform that allows you to create all kinds of beautiful things. And we're going to have a presentation on Buffer, which is a platform that lets you build a social media campaign across multiple platforms. And then the last part is we're going to organize a group social media campaign, kind of like a class project. And that takes us, we've allowed time until an hour and a half. So first of all, just a couple of other things before we start. So this is being recorded, and the recording and any materials that go along with it will be posted to the NOMI website at some point after this presentation. So why don't you go ahead and get started? Gary, take it away.
okay. Could you mute people while I'm doing it so that we can have clear platform here? I'm Gary Gerardi. I'm presenting this from the NOMI and the Project Yano office. Project Yano is the office behind me. This is located at the San Diego Peace Campus. That's peacecampus.org. This is a special place where we've got historical peace churches located in this in San Diego here at the campus. We have Church of the Brethren, we have Mennonite meeting, we have a Quaker meeting, and we have the American Friends Service Committee, U.S.-Mexico Border Project here, in addition to us. So I'm going to share my screen now and we'll get this started. Oh, you have to turn on screen sharing, Libby, it's disabled.
You're trying to get it on that or not?
You should be able to.
Okay, I'll try now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm sharing now. This is the initial page for today's webinar. No, it's not. Here it is. I'm on the wrong cue here. Start again. There we go. Okay. One of the principal issues here today that I'm trying to get across is that we have an opportunity maybe to expand on our outreach on social media if we start organizing together more as a network. One of the problems we're all experiencing with our social media platforms is the sort of organic versus, paid promotion of our posts. And it's all been diminishing for a long time now. And I'm getting more and more people complaining that even their organic outreach is just not reaching many people. In our own case for Nomi, in our different social media channels, principally things that are most related to our activism get the most engagement. And what I mean by that, people clicking through and reading articles or even taking actions. And that's important. It's good to know that people that do counter recruitment or use demilitarization work, they are focused on finding out what's most important, what's going on. In the situation that we're in right now with the COVID, schools have been closed down. People haven't had the opportunity to get back into school for tabling, and the military as well. There's been some experimenting from the military and trying to do online recruitment, and I think they've had a rather limited and marginal success with that. They have, however, been doing more and more online recruitment using their gaming platforms, and that's been a kind of a new development during COVID and a concern for counter recruitment as well, to keep an eye on that and find out how that's being done. There is sort of a Veterans for Peace working group that's started sort of a project of going into the games themselves, as I assume gamers, and trying to see what kind of recruitment pitches are being made by the military on those platforms. So let me start now here. Here I'm saying in this graphic, our messages are stronger, campaigning together on our social media. I think if we do coordinated campaigns, we can at least have a greater outreach, and we can certainly coordinate according to thematics. One thing that's going on right now that we're concerned about is the expansion of the selective service to include women. And basically what that would mean in the case of a national emergency where the draft was reinitiated, the women also would be subject to being conscripted by the draft. Here, this is out of order here. Let's see where we can start here. Okay. Let's do this. Let me open this up. How did that happen? Okay, I'm gonna have to do this another way. Let's hold on a moment here.
I'm getting dizzy following your mouse.
No, I know, but I seem to have lost my order here, unfortunately. Let's do this. Let's open this up. And we might have to just go to these bookmarks here for this webinar. Okay, we'll begin now with Canva. We're going to start with a video made by one of our interns, by Selene Rivas, just sort of an introduction to the Canva platform. Canva is a platform for doing social media graphics. It's pretty easy to use, and it's as opposed to using something like Photoshop, which is more complicated. So let's watch what she's done here. Hold on, let's start this up.
Hello, my name is Selene, and today I wanted to share with you this tool for social media content creation we use here at Nomi. Today, we'll be talking about one for creating images called Canva. I think Canva has a much lower learning curve than programs like Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator, which are often used by professionals when making social media graphics. I'll walk you through the basics of using Canva while making an image that we plan to use on Nomi social media for Women's History Month. For starters, let's access Canva by going to canva.com. The first thing you'll see when you log in is this banner. These are all presets for creating different types of images. And what's useful about this is that you don't need to know the optimal image size for each platform, but instead you just select the type of image and you're set. For this image, let's select Instagram post. You'll see a white canvas in the middle of the screen and a toolbar off to the side. To make this image, we'll be using upload, text, and elements. When you make your images, I encourage you to explore the other options, particularly the templates and photos, which make the process of deciding the layout and finding royalty-free images significantly easier. The first thing we'll do is find an image. In this case, we're making an image with the following quote by peace activist Leymah Gbowee. Wikimedia Commons has a lot of images that have licenses that allow us to use these images in social media. Whenever selecting images, it's important to read what type of license they have. This one allows people to share and adapt the image as long as the source is attributed. We'll do this in the description of the post. Aside Wikimedia Commons, there are many pages where you can search for royalty-free images. We'll include a curated list of some pages in the resources for this workshop. The Photos tab on Canva also has a lot of high-quality images you can use. I encourage you to use images of your own activism whenever possible. Now I'm going to upload the image onto Canva. I'll do that by clicking the Upload tab in the toolbar and dragging and dropping the image into the window. You can also select the Upload Media button. I'll drag and drop the image on the canvas and I'll resize it until I get the size I want. I want to leave some room on the left so I can add the text. This is the filter menu. For Nomi, we try to keep our images mainly black and white and use red or maroon as an accent color. I'll use a filter to make sure this picture is black and white. I want to add a circle to the left to make the text more visible, so I'll go to the Elements tab and scroll down until I see the shapes. I'll click on the circle, resize it, and position it until I'm happy with how it looks. I want to make it a little bit transparent, so I use the transparency slider at the top. Now I'll go to the text menu. With this menu, you can not only add text boxes to the page, but you can also add some pre-made font combinations. These are two fonts which look good together and make our job of creating social media images much easier. I suggest you try out different fonts until you find one that not only looks good, but is readable. From there, you have to make adjustments to the size of the font and the placement until you're happy with your finished product. Now I'm adding Leymah Gbowee's name and making some more adjustments to the text. When creating graphics and videos for social media, you'll often have to play with the different settings. Don't be overwhelmed by the wealth of options. The idea is that you discover these options organically during the process of taking something from your imagination and figuring out how to use the tools to translate it onto the canvas. A cheat sheet that details some of the tools you can use in Canva will also be included among the downloadable resources for this workshop. And now for the finishing touches. We're adding the white bar at the bottom of the image and the Nomi logo. Besides keeping the white, red, and black color scheme, at Nomi we decided that the element we would use to unite all of our social media graphics was the white bar and the logo at the bottom of all of our images. You can see I got the image from the Uploads tab, where we had previously uploaded it for our other social media graphics we've made with Canva. When you start making social media graphics for your organization, think about what colors and design elements will unite them so that you have a consistent graphic identity. Maybe you'll only use gradient backgrounds or a particular font combination or drawings instead of photos. The sky is the limit. The important thing is to think about your values and goals as an organization and how those can be reflected graphically. And we're done. I'll download the finished image clicking on the download button on the top right, and I'll select PNG and click download. This is our finished image. Hopefully, this video has been a good introduction to Canva, and I can't wait to see all of your creations.
Oh, I think she did a good job with that. Very informative. One of the things that she didn't mention that you should be aware of, if it's applicable or appropriate for your particular production, that the Department of Defense has a whole archive of images as well. They're in the public domain, and you can use them without any kind of repercussions for copyright infringement. Let's go to the next issue. Okay. She mentioned the Canva cheat sheet. Here's what it is here. This is a new resource that we just put up on our website. Basically, it shows you how to use the tools. Let it load up. This is a PDF. You can see Canva 101, short guide by Nomi. I'm not going to go into great detail here, but just to let you know, she's showing primarily a tour of the different functions in the toolbar at the top. And also basically what she's covered in the video and a little more detail, you can go back and refer to this. There's a general introduction on how Canva is and how it could be used, and in our case, how we could apply this for our social media outreach for counter recruitment and youth demilitarization work. She explains here how the basic functions. This is important to understand. This is for the free version, and that's probably likely how most of us will use it. These are the functions of the templates, the upload function, the photo function, and also the text functions. So she covers what she did in the video here pretty well. So you can go back and refer to this. This is listed on their webpage for the webinar, and it's down there in the resources section. So I think she did a pretty clear job here, how to approach this. And then this is important because we've had issues with this in the past, that when you use images, it's important to use royalty-free images that are in the public domain. These are websites where you can find duty-free, or rather not duty-free, but kind of without copyright infringement. These sites specialize in images for that. And like I said, she hasn't put the one for the Department of Defense here, but that's another one. Here are some kind of best practices, reminders, how to use large images, pay attention to contrast between background and text so things are readable. Brevity is important in terms of images, that you don't get along, you don't get complicated. We have sort of a concept of what we call, which is reaction, education, action, and practice. So, we kind of put this in different levels of what we would prefer that our social media outreach accomplishes. A lot of what our social media actually does accomplish is it creates awareness about issues and it educates about issues. Moving people along to some sort of action or practice is a lot more complicated. And that's the end of that. Next.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, that's down here, and I'll show you. Let's go back to the web page for this webinar series. It's here.
So Gary, I'm just wondering if as you going along, if you can type the links in the chat box.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Let me put that right now. Let's see, where's chat? Here we go.
Thank you.
There it is. Drop down menu.
The chat will be saved and posted on the website too.
Okay, this is the chat for this particular page I'm showing you, and everything's on this page. Oops, we don't want that. Okay, we're already here. So down below here, you'll see the description of today's webinar. These is basically the agenda we're following today. But down here, resources, you'll see there's the Canva cheat sheet right here. And then there's the Canva program itself. There's the buffer program. And then these are actually samples of graphics that Nomi has done. We'll follow that a little later. And then this is the resource site we've set up for sharing and doing campaigning together. So let's move forward. Okay. This is important. We set up a whole social media outreach section on our website. Let me give you the link there. Let me give you, first of all, the title. And let me give you the link. There you go. What we've tried to accomplish here is to establish a sharing space, a place where we can develop resources on traditional historical counter-recruitment themes, and also things that are sort of expanding out from the category of youth demilitarization activism. You can see right now we've got these categories established. Considering enlistment is an important issue. That page is fairly well visited on the NOMI website. And young people are likely to find that in searching about enlistment on their search engines. And that page directs them to different issues like alternatives to going in the military, or things they should be concerned about if they are going to go into an enlistment recruiter's office, things they should take with them, things they should be concerned about. I'll show you a little bit more of that later. Also, the issue that's emerging now with women being positioned to have to register for the draft. I think a lot of what's emerging in the counter recruitment community is that we should eliminate selective service for everybody. Not that we should have women have to be required to register on some basis of equality because men are required to register as well. Also here, this is the campaign we did and are doing with Code Pink, where they're talking about divesting from the war machine. We're recommending at NOMI that young people divest their bodies from the war machine and not go into the military. And then these are other miscellaneous categories here that we've established. This is Winning the Peace is actually a campaign where we have developed for smartphones, things that young people should be aware of about joining the military. So that's that. From that page, it takes you to, for example, things that you can share, like here, eliminating selective service for everyone. Right now, we've got 3 of these up. We're developing more at the moment. The way this works is you can actually copy the text below here, like this. You see that it's configured sort of with a general introduction of what the issues are. It has a link. This is sort of a destination. If people click through with this graphic, they will go to this destination. In this case, this was an article that was on Mother Jones that was actually anti-women having to register for the draft. And this particular graphic directs people to that location. And it's really important we're starting to really be very insistent on always using hashtags, especially ones that the military use. This, for example, selective service. We'll show this to you in a minute, that this pulls up in a Facebook post. Here's the actual graphic that would be used with the sharing. And then that text will accompany it. And then that link will be the destination for them to go through. So there's the graphic established for that. Let's go to the next one. What happens with the hashtag? So if they go to the hashtag, this is what they'll see. This is selective service for that particular hashtag, the hashtag for selective service on Facebook. You can see that there's the graphic we established for NOMI, but you'll see all the military ones too. There's one that where another group, Parents for Say About Military in Our Schools, have shared that. We are sending these out as sort of campaign reminders for people to share these things. This is an example of one group that has shared it.
So Gary, can you just explain for folks that may not know what a hashtag is?
A hashtag is like a code. And for example, here, different platforms use different kinds of hashtags, but generally they're sort of like keywords, you know, they're keywords that are interactive to the internet. So if somebody shares, for example, selective service on Instagram or Facebook, then anybody who added that hashtag or that keyword to their particular post, that will call up that particular graphic or that sharing of information. So that's a way for us to sort of infiltrate into the military space if we use the same hashtags or keywords that they use. So that's very useful for us. If we want to kind of share, get in an environment where we can actually offer an alternative discourse to the military. So I think that's
Can you also tell them how to use a hashtag? You know, how, you know, what do you do to do a hashtag?
well, what you need to do, first of all, you can research them. And there's a remarkable amount of them that are pretty obvious. Here in this case, you can see we found out that the military uses selective service because that's principal to their issue of getting people aware that, especially young men, because it's a requirement that they have to register for selective service. Here, these are ones that we established ourselves. NOMI did, like No Draft Women, Eliminate the Draft, Women for Peace is one that's more commonly used by peace groups.
So Gary, the thing I think I was referring to is, you know, if you can explain what the signs mean. So now in there, you know, in order to create a hashtag, you have that number symbol, right?
Right. You put the number symbol first.
Yeah.
And you put the whatever the phrase is that you think is going to, you know, invoke the kind of sharing that went on under that particular hashtag or keyword. For example, here you've got Women for Peace. I'll click on that for a moment. There's the graphic we shared again, but you can see there's other groups here that also use that same keyword or hashtag.
Does upper lowercase matter, and can you insert punctuation or spaces? These are technical things. It would be helpful to know.
Well, as far as I'm aware, it's you just keep the whole phrase contiguous. You don't have it separated by spaces. Special characters are a problem, so you want to avoid that, except for the number mark in the beginning. And upper and lowercase don't matter. So if you, for example, want to put Women for Peace and you want to separate the image, the image of the phrase, you could put a capital W, a capital F, and a capital P. It'll still find it.
Where do you
I
put
just
the
wanted-
hashtag?
Well, like you somewhere in your posting, and you can see here, they posted it right below the information that they're sharing. As long as it appears on the accompanying text of the graphic, it's fine. You can see the way we're doing it because we're trying to drive people to a particular follow through. We want people to go to articles or go to petitions or some sort of action. So, you know, we list our action item first and then we put our hashtags underneath.
I just wanted to add real quick. I like how you guys have been doing it, and I think it's a good call to when you have multiple words. It's usually, I think, better to put a capital letter at the start of each one. As you said, it'll work fine either way. It does work fine, but it's just easier to read I find if the letters don't have the capitals, it just doesn't jump out as nicely. It's just a little more work to process what that hashtag is saying.
Yeah,
So that's something that I think more and more organizations are starting to do. I do recommend.
good. So that's kind of the explanation on that. Let me go to the next thing here. Hold on. And then, of course, the idea is the final engagement for us is they click through to what we call the destination link. And in this case, this would have been the destination. This Mother Jones article that's it's fairly old. Because remember, this whole issue of the women's drafts has been on the table for a while. It's now reaching sort of a termination, kind of a resolution at this moment with the Biden administration. But this particular writer, Max Rosenthal, takes a position that it's harmful for men and women, and he makes his arguments here. We won't get into that now. Next, here's another example of this type of sharing of social media distribution. Here's one that's focused on enlistment in the armed forces. And then here again, we have a destination URL. This one happens to be in our actual website. We'll show you that in a moment. Here we kind of changed the order. We put the hashtags before the destination URL. It doesn't really matter. Either way it works. Here we have considering enlisting as the hashtag that we invoked. Before you enlist is another one that we actually also use for a video that we distribute about joining the military and the hazards of being in the military. And another one we established 8 years of your life that relates to, for example, winning the peace campaign, which is sort of a website for smartphones for young people.
Gary, you want me to remind you about the time?
Okay, how are we doing?
You're a little over.
Okay,
About 5 over.
I'll speed it up. Okay, so now we'll go here to how these particular hashtags resolved on Facebook. Considering enlisting is really our hashtag, and it's not been used by the military. But you can see here, we're using it on different postings. And one of the things you want to be aware of, that the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram, it will recognize images. So, one of the things we're hoping that people will do, if they want to share our images or they create their own, that you want to space them apart. You don't want to have everyone necessarily do everything at the same moment. And you want to change images, and even changing text sometimes is a good idea, because the algorithm will recognize people posting simultaneously similar, or not similar, but the same things, and they will penalize for that. So, the more variety there is, the better there is. So here again, we have our hashtags and we have our destination URL. In this case, our destination URL goes to our website. Which is here. And this is an important page. It tells young people that if they're going to go into a recruiter's office, things they should be really careful about going in and what they're being presented, to be questioning of what they're being told. Here's sort of recommendations that are made before you go in, to take along a parent and a friend as a witness. And these things we won't go over this in detail today. We don't have time. But this is the idea is to get young people to go to this page and not go into the military blindly. This page deals with also important issues about recruitment as far as young people are concerned, for job training, college benefits, racism in the military, which has been a huge issue lately and always, women in the military, and after you leave the armed forces. So there's the sourcing and there's additional links here for that. Let's go to the next thing. This is another important issue. We've realized in the last 6 months, we started getting more young people contacting NOMI, which is really not where they should be going. They should be going to the things we're recommending here. This is a social media post to make young people aware that if they've gotten themselves into the delayed entry program and they want to get out, there's ways of getting out. And here again, we have the hashtags, we have the destination URL, and the recommendation of the things they need to do. Here, it's right from the beginning, we're telling them, call the GI Rights Hotline or call Military Law Task Force, talk to a counselor, don't take our word for it, talk to somebody that's informed about this, and they'll direct you about what you have to do. Here again, there's the hashtag on this particular issue. This is very commonly used by the military, and we're using it too. This is an older posting by NOMI on the delayed entry program. Here's a more recent one. And then here's another one from NOMI that was shared by Alaska Peace Center recently. And these are ones that we've done in Spanish and English that come from the Winning the Peace website. That actually is the one done for smartphones. And it really drills down on this. Things that application for smartphones takes up as issues are addressed in that application. And there's the link to go to that application. And again, these are commonly used hashtags by the military. Military, Army, Air Force, Marines, soldiers, you get the idea. Future Soldier Program. And now here ones that are being used by people that the delayed entry program, and the military itself uses this for recruitment purposes. Here's an example right here. For the Marines, here's one from the Air Force. So here again, we're getting into the same space as the military is, and it's important. Here's another one from our application for smartphones for young people in English that takes up one of the issues in that application. So you get the picture on that. Let's move on. And then here's the page. Oops, that's not it. Hold on. Here's the page on that's not, we'll go there. We'll go there here. It's not set up. We'll go here. Here's the page that it'll take it to. This is our delayed entry program page. And right from the beginning, we're telling people, you know, just don't go. Getting out. I mean, it's really clear right from the beginning what this is all about. There's actually a dedicated URL here to get to this page. We're doing this more and more. We're trying to get a simpler destination URL to get to important information. Again, right from the beginning, we're getting people to understand they need to talk to a counselor, and there's the counselor information. And if you need to change your situation quickly, we've had young people contact us that just have a week before they have to report, and they're just panicking. And in that case, we were directing them over to the Military Law Task Force. They have a better rate of answering the phone directly. And in the other case, where we direct people to GI Rights Hotline, we make it very clear now they need to leave their name and contact phone number, and then they'll be called back. And then we follow the general issues here. We made this also really front and center now. This is the resource for sending a separation letter to get out of the DEP. And if you click on here, you'll see that there's a special orientation on that here. There's the sample of the letter they need to produce, and they need to change the information on it, send it in. and then sort of additional information that they have to be aware about harassment and things of that type. So that's that resource.
Hey, Gary, is this in Spanish too? I know that on Project Llanos, they actually have a Spanish, but I don't know if you have this specific one. on
No,
it.
we've had it in the past in Spanish, and thank you for reminding me. This is something we need to get up there. You need to add to that particular resource, Spanish version. Thank you. That's important. We need
Yeah,
to
I mean, I
promote
think
that.
especially for parents to understand, most of the kids in our community are bilingual, but for their parents, it'd be helpful. Because they might be thinking, oh, my kid is, they're trying to renege on their commitment. And it would be helpful to have something, and maybe there needs to be a different thing kind of modified. And I know there's a whole what parents should know
Right.
as
Yeah,
well.
and we have that page, and it's been we need to actually put it more front and center. It should be in the menu. Remember, most people are going to get to these resources through a search on Google or whatever search engine they use. They are not going to show up to our page. And in the case of the DEP page, Delayed Entry Program, we are among the most visited pages on the internet. This is important. That's another message and another learning issue for us all. That, for example, if I put like a Google search here, I want to just point this out really quick because I think it's important. If I put here getting out of the DEP, or delayed entry program, what shows up here? NOMI shows up first. That's really important because you know what? People aren't going to go to page 2 and 3 and 4. And the more of us out there that have delayed entry program information on getting out there, the more likely that there are going to be a lot more things to show up on this first page. That's important so they feel confident that they should talk to a counselor, that other people are getting out, and that they don't fall under the wheels of a recruiter that makes them feel that it's not really possible to get out, or that nobody gets out. That's important to have that reinforcement all the time. So let me take this off.
You need to move on, Gary.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thought I was going fast enough, but I'm not. We're gonna have to skip some of the sample thing showing people how to do that, the programs. Let me switch over now to, let me switch here. Hold on. On our menu here under social media outreach, we have our social media. This is the orientation page that I showed you earlier, explaining the importance of doing this kind of collective outreach. And then here's the resources page. You can see there are resources here for sharing, and they're in different categories. And right now we're building this right now. It's still in the process of being built. But this is something where we can share together. Here's an example. If you click on a category, there's the resources that are available. And I'll do a sample one right here now, just to show you how easy this works. I'm going to copy this text all the way down to the hashtags. I'm going to click on this graphic. It's going to open up a share space here, right there. I'm going to paste that in there, and I'm going to say post to Facebook. In this case, you can choose where you want to post it. I'll share this to a group. I'll share this to a group from NOMI. I'll share this to our counter recruitment group. There it is, right there. I'll go ahead and share that. And then I'll go back to Facebook. I'll look for it on that site and you'll see it. And this is trying to make a way for us to share things a little easier. without having to do a lot of developing our own resources. Recruitment. There's the site. And there's the resource that I just shared. So this makes it really kind of seamless and easy to do. Also, this came up today. I think it's a really interesting subject. We're thinking of taking this particular site, counter recruitment site, and making it specifically for these shared resources. So if I go here to another site called the Counter Recruitment Team, I think we're going to dedicate this site to sharing resources so that we have a one go-to place where people can just know that's the place to go look for things where we campaign together. I think that's a very useful idea to have a space like that organized.
Gary, can you just explain what content guidelines there would be there? Is it just social media outreach examples, or would groups be allowed to post notices, event notices, and those sorts of things?
I think that's something we need to discuss. The same way for demilitarizing our schools sort of has parameters of how we share on that space. I think we need to discuss that here. I think it's more useful if people understand that this is a place, and that can be set up that way, where it's really set up for sharing and not for posting. That this is a place where if we do a campaign, we'll organize an outreach on that. We'll send it out to our list and let them know that the latest thing on the Counter Recruitment Team website for you to share is on women in the draft, or it's on delayed entry program, or it's on when we get closer to the time when high school kids are getting ready to graduate, that we're really going to zero in on the recruitment, ramping up at the schools. So I think we need to use this very strategically. That's my opinion. Let's see, what else is left? How are we doing on time, Libby?
You're way over. You're 20 minutes over.
Okay, well, let's end it there. I mean, should we open this up just to conversation right now a little bit before we end?
I thought you were gonna talk about Buffer.
Oh, that's right. Let's go there. Hold on real quickly. I'm sorry. Here's our Buffer account. I'm going to share one thing on Buffer today. Buffer is really a very cool program. It allows you to, it's basically a distribution program, or you call it a management program. We have a paid version of it, but you can get a free version of it, and it allows you to have 3 social media resources on it. For most of the groups, you probably have a Facebook page, maybe you have a Twitter account, maybe you have an Instagram account. The free account will probably work for you. I mean, in our case, because we run different groups and multiple pages that are sort of designed on different issues, we took a paid account. But this has been a really useful tool for us. And we've actually set it up to mirror how we organize our campaigns more and more. So for example, if I go to campaigns, here's how it's been structured for us. We've actually set up campaigns for individual groups, like for example, Kate, who's here in this workshop. She has her own classification here. There's Truth in Recruitment here in Santa Barbara somewhere. There's more generic issues. There's one for Code Pink for the divest from the War Machine. This one is the most common, counter recruitment. That's more generic. This is one of the pages we use on we have a dedicated Facebook page for this that deals with our CR resources guide that we develop every couple of years for getting the word out on that. And you get the idea. And then here you can see that these are in the queue. There are 12 posts ready to go out under account recruitment in the future. Here there's 15 ready to go out for one of our groups. Here for the guide on counter recruitment, there's 14 ready to go out. Here's the site where for smartphones, there's 13 ready to go out. Yeah, so I mean, that's how that works. If I go back here to publishing, we'll send one out now. Here's one that's going out under Code Pink. It's scheduled to go out, I think, today at 5:32 in the afternoon. We'll just go ahead and send it out now. It will go to, let's just share it now. It just shared. Okay, so that's going to show up on whatever pages we assigned it to go out on these different platforms. So this is a very useful tool. And depending on the level that you have, you've subscribed to, you have different amounts of tools to work with. We don't have the highest level, which excludes us from having analytics, but we tend to do our analytics more manually, so going through the Facebook pages and discussing it that way. So that's the buffer tool. I'm going to stop my sharing right now. I think we should just take this, Libby, into sort of a conversation at this point, and we'll finish out at that level. Libby and I talked a little bit today about some of the things that are in front of us as counter recruitment groups. I mean, one of the things that's been talked about a lot in our steering committee right now is trying to support Edward Hasbrook on his researching and sort of campaigning him on this issue of the women's selective service or the women draft, however you want to look at it. A lot of Edward's stuff is really dense and complex, and it's not very well suited for social media. We had a conversation and a decision within the steering committee that we would assist him by sort of distilling down a lot of the issues into social media posts, because he had a request that we develop as much pushback on this issue before this whole amendment goes to Congress and Senate again. I guess it has to go through a final approval process. It seems at this moment, Edward issued a notice a day or two ago. It may be getting fast-tracked. We asked one of our interns, Fabiola, so she does a lot of our graphic design, to help distill a lot of Edward's principal issues. And we start promoting this and getting the issue out in front of people's eyes to see if we can get pushback on it. One of the things he also asked for was short videos of women that are saying, I don't want to register for the draft, and why I don't want to do it, and get those videos out there on social media. That was another thing that came up. So, I mean, this is an example where social media can support a policy issue or a counter recruitment or youth demilitarization issue that we want to get pushback on, and as quickly as we can. And that's another example where we need more groups to kind of work together and campaign together. So that's my presentation on how we can use content creation to develop campaigns on important issues to us and increase the amount of awareness around these issues out in the public and among groups that do counter recruitment or youth demilitarization work. Do you have any questions in the group?
Yeah, actually, I have, this is maybe a little silly, more of actually just a general question about Nomi webinars. I do have to go shortly, but this is the first one I've been in, and I found it pretty useful. Some of the stuff that was covered was great, so thank you. And then also just to sort of check, can I like check Nomi's website and I'll see, I guess, information about upcoming webinars, or maybe there's somewhere where I can put in an email and I'll get an email when you have another webinar coming up?
Yes, you can register on our website. Let me get you the website address. Hold on. And I'll give you where you can sign up.
Okay.
Well, we haven't scheduled any additional webinars yet, but.
Well, yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'll just sign up so that, you know, when you do,
Right.
I'll get a heads up.
Right.
So yeah, thanks.
Here, you can subscribe here. Let me put this up in the chat real quickly here. Where's the chat? There it is. Also, we didn't have a chance really to do a shared class project today. I think what we'll do is, and I'm going to try to work this a different way. I think I'm going to try promoting a shared action together and not try to do it today. We're out of time. And we were going to kind of have everybody share one of the things I showed you to share today on their social media pages. But I think it'll be more meaningful and better use of that kind of activity if we try to organize that a little better than just us doing it now. So there's the link where you can register for our newsletter, and that also puts you on our mailing list.
Okay, great. Yeah, I also see Pat's question about a group email for
Yeah,
ongoing
there's a listserv. It was created
Oh, yeah.
for the webinars.
Yeah, let me give you that too. Hold on. That's
Okay,
actually
sure.
on the page I shared before in the beginning. Let's see, where is that? At the top? Yeah. The first link at the top of the chat that opens up the page on this webinar. You'll see at the very bottom, there's join our list. Also, you have a discussion group for this series.
Okay, great.
You know,
All
one
right. Sorry, I do have to get going, but yeah, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And I'll sign it to the newsletter and that discussion page.
Yeah, let me
Take care, everyone.
just put that link in there and we're done there.
I was just going to say, and I don't know if Nomi does as much, but one of the things that Truth in Recruitment does is share people's posts to our story. And the story, you know, it's just different than a post. It only lasts 24 hours. What's good about that is, you know, you can do the hashtags, you can tag whoever did the original post. So people learn about other people's groups and activities. It's a good educational tool. And there's a lot of things you can do with stories that we haven't even approached. There's all kinds of effects and all that kind of thing. But what I've been told by people who work with us, the younger people, is that, you know, when you're looking at stories, you just tap those circles that are at the top of your page or whatever. This is on Instagram in particular. And you just kind of go through it and you quickly see stuff. And if something looks interesting, you can go there and you can follow that page or whatever. Or even tag that page as people learn about you, you know. And so I really think that that's a good way to go. You can also see who viewed your page. Sometimes those people will follow you. You can repost about your own work and stories. So I would you can do countdowns, like when it's 24 hours before this webinar or whatever, 24 hours before you're supposed to register, you can do like little countdowns and little things like that. So I would just encourage people to look into stories as well.
Okay, I think that's great. The other thing we haven't really discussed here, we don't have a big group here today, but you know, we need to learn from each other. I mean, we're learning. It's all a learning process. So when everyone shares new stuff to us, we learn more, and the same way when we share stuff to you, you learn more.
You know, I was thinking about that learning from each other idea, and because I think it's going to be, people want to do this. They want to promote these different ideas on social media. I think it's hard for some groups that don't have the bandwidth, and a lot of it is new. I'm on the Military Law Task Force listserv, and what will happen often is somebody will run into a legal issue, and they'll put it out there. Has anybody ever had a situation like this? And then you get a lot of feedback. And I wonder if something like that could be set up with Nomi, where somebody's trying some kind of social media thing, and they run into some roadblocks, and they reach out for help to figure it out. I don't know if that would be useful or not.
I think it'd be useful. I think that might be something that we could build into the counter recruitment team Facebook group, that give it you know, not just things to share, but you know, questions to ask, and for us to research and help.
Because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Nomi's created a lot of content that other groups can use.
Well,
it's
I mean, the optimal thing is for people to develop their own content, obviously, and for NOMI to share that too.
right,
It's just that, groups are small and don't have the technical support.
right.
We're trying to provide some solutions as well. I mean, that's why we set up that whole site. So at least there's something there to share.
I mean, I think like Instagram has the ability to you to post something and folks can ask questions. So I'm just wondering, like maybe like even thinking of like doing like a once a week from like 5 or 6, ask any questions and then you can just respond to it and in the story section and people can see their responses if they have questions about anything related to like what NOMI covers. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think that was the intent before of
Well, I
the.
like the team idea. I like. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Susan.
No, I would just say, I think that was the idea behind having the Yahoo group back in the day, but I
Right.
has
Right.
been totally deactivated.
Right. Well,
The
we
Java group.
no, the Yahoo group. I mean, we
Yahoo,
have the
I thought you
Electric
said-
Embers group now. The CR group pandemic list could be a place to begin and trying to build that. And I think that's probably what we should do. We've got 2 lists. We've got the generic list for NOMI, but since we started this workshop, maybe it's good to kind of begin there on the CR during the pandemic list and try to get people organized to do social media campaigning together.
So I was just going to say that this local group called Just Communities is doing an open house. So it's a virtual open house. It's just an hour on a Friday night. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do. I mean, they, just to do that like quarterly or biannually, like instead of like a community forum or some kind of big workshop, just do an open house. And, you can do like little on Zoom, you can do breakout rooms. And it's another thing we've been thinking about, even like with our steering committee of like, if there's certain subjects, sort of like working groups or whatever. But that's just, and it's just an hour. That's what I appreciate about this thing. It's an hour. It's 5 to 6 on a Friday night.
Right.
And that might be a way to sort of bring awareness as well as provide, information to the community.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great idea.
And I think, even on that, I think the other part that we should also be thinking about is like Kate just said, what are the other groups that may be interacting with folks that have already followers that we can follow and maybe ask questions. Like I know like AOC, has like a sort of like a Instagram town hall, like every once in a while, and people just ask her questions. So like, can we post questions? I mean, she gets, I think, thousands of followers, so how do we use other people's platform to make sure that, we get our issues out too, by interacting in social media?
Yeah, Instagram Live. You made me think of that, Jesus. That's what she's. I guess that's what she did for this latest town hall. But yeah, that could, because you can post. I guess you can post questions. I know you can with Facebook Live. You can do a whole Q&A thing. But yeah, that's a good idea to do the. And TikTok is another thing that a lot of the younger people. I feel like such an old fart, but have been saying that we should start doing a TikTok campaign. I don't know if that's also something that NOMI has looked at.
No, we have a TikTok channel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because what I realized is the military is all over TikTok,
Right.
and in the
Yeah.
worst possible way.
And they're all going to repost them, but I guess I've been nervous about the whole, because of the whole privacy issue that happened last year. But
Mhm.
so you have it. NOMI has a TikTok channel. Is that how it works?
Yeah, and we posted up to it, but we're just sort of starting it. The problem is the military's got a lot of violent stuff on their TikTok. They're promoting war. They're not promoting recruitment, and that's concerning. Because one of the things I think we should all be concerned about is not just military recruitment, but normalizing war and normalizing militarism in our culture, and using the schools to do that. And they're all over that. That's been a concern. And TikTok is the worst manifestation of that. I've not seen that in the other platforms like I saw it in TikTok. If you go to TikTok and you do /Marines or /Army or /Navy, you'll see what I mean. It's a problem.
There was
Um,
another idea suggested. It was actually Michelle Cohen who kind of brought this up at one of the earlier webinars. And I think it's worth further consideration. And that is a campaign aimed at the platforms to demand that platforms require military messaging to include not a disclaimer, a statement that makes it very clear this is for the purpose of recruitment, or this is a recruiter that's posting, and not allow these postings by recruiters who make themselves out to be just people with military experience who want to help you make a good decision, and they never say who they are and what their motive is. And Michelle brought up that idea of a campaign to pressure the platforms to create a standard that would force military representatives using those platforms to reveal who they are and what their purpose is. And this would include the esports type platforms as well.
And
But that-
Indeed.com that advertises for paid volunteers in the
Yeah.
army.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
You targeted me.
Yeah. Anybody else? We haven't heard from Manuel or from Pat.
Just trying to catch up with the rest of you here. This is good stuff. I'm looking forward to see this recorded because I'm gonna need to see this a couple times. Thank you.
You know, also, I have to point out, Facebook has standards that they've allowed to be violated constantly by the military, where other groups are held to account. So we have this sort of contradiction of policy versus follow through. And I know the military is a big advertiser on Facebook,
Right.
and so it's a money issue for them. But you know, they have very strict standards about violence.
What is,
And-
sorry, is the thing that you're talking about, Rick, sort of like what AOC was trying to get put in place after that Twitch thing where there was, there was all that hacking of the Twitch by this, and then, so there was a free speech thing, but it went to a military recruitment team kind of.
Yeah.
He was trying
The
to
weak, the weakness there was that she was appealing to the members of Congress to get behind legislation that would ban the military from using that platform for recruiting. And I think everybody here understands getting the US Congress to take a stance like that is impossible. But this other idea would be for us, the public, to campaign and focus on the platforms to demand that they take action. And so in a sense, it's parallel to that, Kate, but it uses a different approach.
Yeah, which seems, it's sort of, a little bit like the divestment or boycotting more. Yeah, it seems better.
Good. Well, I think that wraps it up. I think anything else?
Well, since
Okay,
nobody
good.
else is coming in, I have a question. Sorry.
go ahead.
So the buffer thing you're using is to actually create posts and then have them scheduled, right? Because we were looking at this Hootsuite, but somebody said it was expensive. And so you're saying there's a free version of Buffer, and that's where you like upload posts to that, and then it's you set when you want them to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think
no,
there's a limit of three
there's a
platforms.
limit of 3. We normally approved, the steering committee approved back before you were on, to expand to a paid version because we wanted to have a wider amount of channels that we can utilize it for. But you know what we found it useful to do also, you know, we use sort of a calendar of peace events, and if we know something's coming up, like Martin Luther King Day, or you know, something specifically relating to militarism, Hiroshima Day, whatever, we'll have things already developed that we'll then schedule at that moment for those days, and we won't have to think about it again. It's already done. So we know that we're covering our bases on things that are maybe more generic. On campaign things specific, that's a different story. We have to organize on a timely manner.
Okay, thanks.
And one of the precepts of all of this, again, and we covered this in previous workshops or webinars, consistency is really important. Continuity, consistency. When people post 1-2 things a month, they just don't build any momentum on their social media.
Mhm.
No, this is a real problem because they end up not getting anyone seeing anything. And I realize what a difficult situation that is. They don't have staffing or time for that. They've
Yeah.
got other things to do. So, this is a conundrum. But, Kate, you're one of the groups that are, the most, active on your social media. The other thing we'd like to see if we could develop is a program with schools and departments like that I came out of, where we had a degree program on social, communications, and where we could get interns, young interns, to basically adopt, and for the groups to adopt them to help support their social media efforts, maybe with professors or schools of a more liberal bent that like the idea of helping a project like NOMI or the things that NOMI focuses on. So it'd be good to establish more people out there willing to help. And we could use our social media group on Facebook to sort of help promote that, looking for teachers, looking for internships for their students, and that need to satisfy course requirements with internships, things like that.
Well, that's exactly what we have a UCSB writing intern,
Mhm.
and we've had that for 3 or 4 years in a row. So it's our professional writing minor.
Right.
And so I bet that most of the UCs have things like that. I mean, there's obviously internships all over the place. And now UCSB also has this thing called the Bloom Center on Poverty. And so we're kind of in their library of places that students have to be interested in this work. Same thing with the writing minor. But yeah, I would encourage everybody to get interns especially for the social media.
Well, this is something I think we're going to take up more in the next social steering committee meeting, because we've got to resolve some issues of how to approach recruiting or advertising for interns. We actually had an intern page. I shared it recently this morning with all of you. We need to sort of maybe refine how we're willing to accept interns because of our limited funds, and whether we're only going to do it, let's say, for school credit, or if they can come in with their own money, or we can find people who are willing to sponsor interns and give them a stipend. I mean, these are all things we need to discuss.
Well, the UCs, they can do it for like a full course credit. So they've been unpaid. I won't be at your next steering committee. I think you did see that, right? That's next week.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else on this one? I think we did a good job today, considering we didn't get
Hello,
enough
everyone.
people.
Sorry, I jumped in late. I jumped in when you were talking about buffer, and about having like a central, I believe like a social media account that context can be placed on so that different groups can use it. And by the way, my name is Manuel. I'm with Project Dino, and I've been a board member for about 8 years now. And I think it's a great idea. I really liked the buffer program, where you can have different social media accounts and schedule things. I know I myself, I'm not the best at managing my own social media. I always forget to post constantly. I do agree that the more you see it, the more you post, the more people see it, because it drives the algorithms that social media drives on its websites that, potentially people get to see your content more.
Right.
So I really like the buffer, and I like the idea about having a centralized location where people can take, content from and just copy and paste it. I think that'd be really useful for a lot of groups.
I mean, the more we can kind of make this easier for people to do and get excited about these tools, the more they use them, the better we're going to position ourselves with the algorithm. And right now we're in really bad condition with the algorithm. We're getting very little engagement across our groups compared to the military. Obviously, they've got a huge budget.
Yeah.
They've got all these young people out there pretending every possible scenario that they're telling you not to join the military. And it's really just a ruse to get you to join the military. The thing in front of us right now, I think is important, is this request to find young women who really don't want to register for the draft. They're willing to do a 1-minute video and just and put their face out there and get that out there as much as we can on social media, and try to get some pushback going on this before it just gets slam dunk approved. Once it's done, it'll get a bunch of press, I'm sure. Now women have to register for the draft. We get inundated with all these mainstream media, stories where, well, it's an issue of equal rights and equal justice and whatever. We need to push back on that. I think that's eminent. That's right in front of us.
I'm sorry, I have a question about the sharing, because you showed how to share it to Facebook, but is that page that you had the sharing, can you share, I put it in the chat, can you share that to Instagram or not?
Yes, it has Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
And that was a page, a specific, or is that just all different things on your NOMI, on the NOMI site?
I don't understand your question, Kate. I mean, whatever we post on social media on Buffer, if Buffer supports the platform, we can.
Well, like if it was posted on Facebook, I don't think I could share it to Instagram from there.
Well, there's a mechanism.
It's on your website. Is that where the sharing capability is, where you copied it and then clicked the image?
Gary, she's not talking about
Oh, I'm
Buffer.
sorry. Yes, it's in our website. Yes,
Okay.
you go to that location, which is if you go to our menu.
Do you mind putting it in the
Here, can I
chat?
share?
Or
Yeah,
did
let me
you
try it
already do
again.
that?
Hold
I
on.
could show earlier.
This is important because this is the first time I've seen that, Gary.
Okay. It has two locations. There's sort of there's an initial page on this that introduces the whole thing. I'll put that first. Let me put that. Oops. That's this link. It's sort of the introduction. That's the introduction to what we're talking about. And then this is the page itself. Hold on. Social media campaign resources, it's called. Sorry, I'm really slow today. I'm always slow. Here, enter. And then here's the title on that page. And we're building this out. This is still this will be a continuous work in progress as different issues emerge. Remember, when you go into Buffer, it will, if there's a problem with a post, for example, Twitter, it'll say, well, this is not formatted correctly for Twitter. It's too long. It'll allow you to do an editing right there in Buffer. So we usually will shorten the text, support text for Twitter, and we'll just trim it down. It'll reformat the graphics or allow you to import a different graphic if there's an issue with a graphic conflict. But basically, it's servicing right now, 3 platforms for us: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Can I make a point about the selective service videos?
Yes.
That Gary mentioned? There's an attempt to try to collect these short video statements from women. Basically, these are statements of resistance. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that women are going to be required to register. That legislative battle is totally losing for us. There's no way we're going to turn that around. It's going to happen. Despite the fact that there are still calls for petitions and letters to members of Congress, the people who are in that ad hoc anti-draft coalition have all pretty much conceded that's not going to change the result. What we need to be talking about now is what we can do to support resistance, with the assumption that women will be required to begin registering sometime in the next 1 to 2 years. So I think people have to understand that and not get so wrapped up in the legislative lobbying that they forget there's this other level of organizing that has to take place. And those videos, I think the main value of those videos will be for that level of organizing and not the legislative lobbying. I mean, you would have to you'd have to have millions of dollars to put into a campaign that might have some impact on the legislation. So I would like to see the individual groups out there, the ones that people on this call are representing, in fact, to consider ways that they might be able to recruit people to make those statements, those video statements, because they need to be collected now and need to begin getting circulated now, because that's the thing that we can have an impact on, as we did in the 1980s when registration started, and the rate of registration was relatively low compared to what Selective Service wanted. And right now, there's no way they could even start a draft because so many young men have moved and failed to tell Selective Service where they moved to. So anyway, I just want to make that point that the videos, to me, could be an important way for all of us to contribute to that effort.
Well, we'll try from the office standpoint, Rick, to try to get the word out of women willing to do that. But we have to direct them somewhere. I mean, they may not have the resources to do it or the know-how. Should we support the actual recording and production of those videos?
It would be useful to have some sort of an outline or a guide to circulate to groups that are interested in helping to produce those videos. Here are the requirements for the video. Here's what you should try to do. Here's a way to do it. And I think that would be helpful. That could come out of the ad hoc anti-draft coalition, which is going to be meeting again in about a week. And in fact, that meeting is going to focus more on the resistance and after legislation passes. So we'll probably talk about that there.
Okay,
Okay, sounds good.
let's, we're about at our time.
Okay, good. All right, well, this is going to be all recorded, so this will be up on the website. Libby, I can have this edited too, like Selene did last time, to clean it up.
Okay. All right, guys.
You think a week or two?
What, for this to be up? No, it'll be up sooner.
Great, thanks.
Okay, anybody, anything else, guys?
No, take care, be safe,
Thank
please.
you. Bye.
Thank you, organizers, Gary, Libby.
Bye.
Nice.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.